What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is part of a series where I focus on a specific director and rank that director's work from worst to best. So on such directors in the past, so Spike Lee, Spike Jonze, Wes Anderson, Christopher Nolan. The list goes on. You guys can check out my director playlist down below. But guys, you clicked on this video, so you know it. This time around, I'm focusing on Tom Hooper's films and ranking them from worst to best. Now, as of the filming of this video, which is the end of March of 2023, Tom Hooper has made 6 movies. So I'll be ranking them from 6 being his worst to 1 being his best. And of course, my humble opinion. Now, if you're new to the channel, I must emphasize this. This will not include any short films, TV movies, music videos. None of that. Specifically, feature-length movies. So again, he's done 6. So I'll be ranking them from 6 being his worst to 1 being his best. My humble opinion. And I will be looking forward to hearing your ranking of his work down below. But guys, enough exposition. Let's get started. So kicking things off at number 6, we have the movie that might have him in director jail. And number 6 is Cats. Not much to say about this movie. It is not a good movie in the slightest. In fact, it's a terrible movie. It is one of the biggest misfires I've seen in the last several years. Does not work on any front at all. It's not a so bad it's good movie, but it's also not like really that watchable. I had a difficult time watching it in theaters, truthfully. It's not good. I would avoid this unless you're trying to watch all of Tom Hooper's movies. There's no other reason to watch this movie. It's bad. It's really, really not good. That's why it's my number 6. Next up, my number 5, we have Red Dust. This was the latest movie of his that I saw. This was kind of hard to track down, but after watching it, I can kind of see why. It's a very stuffy, very dry movie. It has important messages, important themes, but the actual execution of those themes and messages, as well as just the directing in general, was pretty bland. So it just was one of those things where it's like you're watching it and you can tell the topic is important, but the execution of the topic just was like, eh. So maybe if this got remade or, was under like a different director, I feel like it would be a lot better. But as it stands, wasn't really a fan of Red Dust. And that's why it's my number 5. Next up, my number 4 is The Damned United. So this is a very middle-of-the-road movie, but it does have its share of entertaining moments, for sure. Like the lead performance. I do think that, especially if you're a fan of the genre, you'll like this movie. But overall, it is kind of forgettable. But again, I remember watching it and saying that it was pretty enjoyable in some scenes, and in others it was just kind of like, eh. So that's why it's in the middle of the pack. And number 4. Next up, my number 3. My number 3 is actually the one that was my number 1 for the longest time until I rewatched it a couple years ago. And my number 3 is The King's Speech. So it's kind of ironic that Tom Hooper made one of the worst movies of the decade with Cats, but then in that same decade, the beginning of the decade, he made King's Speech, which won Best Picture. Did it win? Did it deserve Best Picture? No. I don't think The King's Speech deserved it at all. What I will say, though, is that The King's Speech, when I saw it the first time, I liked it a lot. But the second time, it was one of those situations where I wasn't that big of a fan of it. I thought the directing was quite bland, but I thought that its heart was in the right place, and I thought that the execution of the themes and messages were admirable, for sure. It's very well acted. It looks good. It's just a movie that overall the actual directing itself left a lot to be desired, and still blows my mind that this won Best Picture of The Social Network and Black Swan. So what are you going to do? Very middle-of-the-road movie for me. I can see why some people might love this movie. Maybe I'll give it a third chance down the line, but as it stands, it was just all right. And that's why it's my number 3. Next up, my number 2 is The Danish Girl. So this movie was rock solid. I very much so enjoyed the performances of Alicia Vikander, Eddie Raymond. The performances are great. Let me just say, like, holy cow. The costume design, the production design. It's a very meticulous movie. It just, at the end of the day, I was engaged and I was entertained by the movie, and I do think that it is an important movie, but it was also something that did have some pacing issues from what I remember and some tonal inconsistencies, but overall, rock solid movie, and that's why my number 2 is The Danish Girl. Number 1 is a movie that's frustrating, but I will say that of all Tom Hooper's work, I do think that I like it the best, and my number 1 is Les Mis. Great performances. Holy cow. Anne Hathaway, Hugh Jackman, Russell Crowe, they're all great. What I especially loved is the music of this movie. It is a musical, but the first act is so strong. Honestly, if it was able to maintain that momentum, then it would have been like an incredible movie. But as it stands, the issue with this movie is that despite having incredible filmmaking all around, the biggest issue is that it's a musical, and with each act, you focus on less and less uh, interesting characters and interesting songs, and that's something that you can definitely feel in a 2.5 hour plus movie, which is what this movie was. I mean, I feel like there's a tight movie in this. I really do. I think that if it got chopped down some, and focused maybe a little bit on like other characters or fleshed them out even more in a way where it was like, oh, you're not so uninteresting. I think it could have been even strong. But as it stands, I do think that Les Mis is a solid movie, and I've seen it a couple times. Maybe I'll watch it again sometime soon. But yeah, I enjoy it. That's why it's my number one. So yeah, usually what I like to do with these director ranking lists is afterwards I like to talk about the director and if I like them or not. And I will say that Tom Hooper is just one of those directors that I truthfully did this ranking list of his because I've seen all of his work now. He's a director that I'm not a big fan of. I think that his work is very, very dry. Honestly, his work comes most alive in TV. Like his show John Adams was quite good, but on film it's very bland, very uninteresting directing, and it's a shame too because a lot of the stories that he tackles are interesting, but he just doesn't execute them in a way that is as such. Still, I would say that some of his movies are worth your time. But he's definitely not one of my favorite directors, and I can see why some people might like him. But for me, he's all right, I suppose. But yeah, guys, that's my ranking for Tom Hooper's films. Let me know your ranking of his work down below, and guys, as always, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, follow me down Letterboxd, and I will catch you guys later.